Welcome to the One Hand at a Time podcast. I'm your host, Chris Welton. And today, believe it or not, is the first time I've had two guests on at once. So we have two guests on today, and we're going to talk about an amazing event that I've had the opportunity to participate in a couple times so far. And just two of the big leaders in the mortgage space right now, besides their event. We were just talking some stuff before we got the camera rolling here about where they're crushing it in the mortgage space. But today I really want to focus on what I think is the best conference in the mortgage space. So Joe and John, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah,
thanks, Chris.
Definitely. So MortgageCon, right? MortgageCon. I've been on stage there twice, and it's been amazing. Every time I walk in, it's just like this crazy setting. Like, just when I feel like you can't outdo it, all of a sudden we've outdone it. So give me some idea why you created MortgageCon, and then we can really dive into the differences in it.
I think I'll let John go first, because when I get going, I tend to get off on a tangent of what really kind of goes on behind the scenes or whatever. But, John ultimately came with an idea and said, Joe, go ahead and do it. So, John, what was your idea?
It was kind of bred out of boredom. So we had just been I've been to a lot of mortgage conferences, and I think after, maybe the seventh or eighth one, I just felt unenthused and fidgety and not excited to be there anymore. So I just thought that if we could try and create a concept that kept people engaged, maybe conformed more to the modern originator who had more of a shorter attention span and kind of a desire to just have more fun in their career, that we could probably do something more successful. So I thought fun location, fun theme, be completely immersed in an atmosphere for a while, and it was born from there.
Yeah, those of you who don't know that haven't heard of MortgageCon, get out from under the rock, right? But the other thing is that they host this event at Universal Studios. The coolest thing, when I first met John, he said, "Hey, do you want to come speak at this event?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." It's gonna be Universal Studios. I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna put you up at the Hard Rock Hotel." I'm like, "I'm in, dude." We're usually stuck in Las Vegas, which I'm not a fan of Vegas for business, or somewhere else. And here we are in, Central Florida at Universal Studios. And it was very exciting from the start. So I'll let Joe, I believe the brains behind the getting things done part of it, dive in. I want to hear your side there, Joe.
So I don't come from the originator world. I spent 15 years at Walt Disney World prior to John basically scooping me up and rescuing me from a COVID layoff, right? So I've seen a lot of cool stuff, and I've seen a lot of cool stuff that entertainment and theme parks can do or whatever. And then I went to my first mortgage conference, and I was like, this is the baseline type thing. This is what is expected. And so, when John came to say, I want to do this, I said, okay, we can definitely do this. It's going to take a lot of work. And he said, okay. So we buckled up that first year. We went very bare bones, right? Just trying to basically saying, can we throw a mortgage conference in a theme park and have it be successful and have it work, right? And so that's kind of what we set out to do that first year. And we did it. I tell this story every single time. I walked into my brother's office 2 weeks before the event happened, and I told him we're never doing this again. It was so much work. It was crazy. And on the last day, after everything happened, he sent out a text company-wide and said, there's no way we can't do this again. So I said, all right, we're buckling up for year two. And so going into year two, we plussed things up. Obviously we knew with entertainment, we could do a lot more of decor, really immerse people in a world, get them to forget about the problems they have on the outside and focus on what was important, was the content that we were bringing to the table, networking, meeting with people, but do it in a fun and innovative setting. We did a bunch of different things different on that second year. We added a trade show, but we definitely plussed it up. And then, that was that was it. We kind of, we had the proof of concept. We had the ability in order to kind of show what we could really do. And then this past February, 2026, was really kind of what MortgageCon was always meant to be. Fun, innovative, new, different. I mean, our networking events were in the middle of both lands of Harry Potter world, which was amazing, right? And like the best compliment that I think that John and I could get is, man, this was so great. How are you going to top it next year? And then that's when we kind of go to the drawing board when we're planning for a new year, saying, okay, like what does this look like for next year and how can we top it? And that's not just decor. That's not just, which soundstage we're going to be in, where we're going to hold a networking event. We take all those things into consideration, but it's about what type of content can we bring to the table that people want to hear in order to energize them for the year following. That's why we hold it in February. We want this to kind of kick it off the year to make sure that when they leave there, they remember MortgageCon as the thing that kind of kicked off a successful year for these loan originators.
Yeah. And I think you've accomplished that, right? Like, I mean, I've been there firsthand and seen what's going on there and the excitement from people there. This last year, did you end up selling out? Was it sold out this year?
We did sell out. Yes.
Okay.
About a month and a half beforehand, we ended up selling out.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And when you say different than other, because we have a lot of people listen to this podcast that may not be in the mortgage space too. What do you mean by different when it comes to mortgage conferences? I know because I've been to a lot of mortgage conferences. Like, how do you, like, when you guys sit down and map it out? Let's go to a different question. I think this is more important. How do you map out, like, okay, I want this speaker this day because they're going to do this, and then I want to follow with this because the emotion will be here. And like, do you guys really put thought and effort into that part?
Oh yeah. We map out almost like it's an experience from the moment you get there. So Joe has this crazy spreadsheet that basically shows what is occurring by the moment, and we try not to overlap and have multiple things occurring at the same time and lead people through the experience. So write down from who we want to, and we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot of ways to tweak it and to move people around, but the whole thing is well thought out.
Okay. And do you feel like that's getting you better results by mapping it out that way as far as feedback?
I think that John coined it to the entire thing. We don't think of this thing as a conference. We think of it as an experience, right? And this coming year in 2027, that's going to play into it more so than ever, right? Like, I think that we've really hit the nail on the head of the experience that we can bring people. And so the experience in 2027 is literally going to hit you in the face from the minute that you check in all the way to the end. And we'll talk more about it later, but that's kind of, how not only do we take our mortgage business, like the experience from beginning to end. So we took that culture, that what we learned with building our business, right? And we translated it into what an event would look like. So from the minute that you fill out the 1003 all the way until you sign the closing papers versus the minute you get your badge over at the Hard Rock Hotel till that very last night that you're walking out of Diagon Alley, you kind of just want people to think about what they've done and, say, man, I am coming next year because this was something that I've just experienced that I have never seen anywhere else before. So that is the speaker lineup. I would probably say John and I go back and forth on that speaker lineup. Maybe 20 or 30 times throughout the course of the year to make sure that everything flows and everything like that. The details that we try to put into everything are just, it's important. It's important for the people that we bring in, and we want people to feel special when they walk out of there.
So you just compared the process in your mortgage company to the same process you use in keeping people happy in that space. So I don't know if you know this or not, Joe, but I'm an ex-Disney employee too, right? So I worked at Disney in 91, and I worked at which was back then was MGM Studios, and I drove the trams in the parking lot. Right. That's what I did. And I stood on the back. I also did the backstage tour. I worked in customer service. I didn't take a day off all summer. Like if there was a shift available, put me in, dude. I want to work, right? Because I would just go play in the park afterwards. But what I learned from that was the first 2 weeks when I went to the Disney University and learned about creating that extra experience and taking it to the next level. I still use that today in my coaching business, right? I learned from the best of the best at the time from Disney. And I think that you've done the same. When you came to, you're taking, I believe, some of that stuff you learned from working at Disney for 15 years.
Completely. The skills are transferable to nearly any organization. That's why when you see executives from Disney leave Disney and go somewhere else, they're going to LaGuardia Airport, they're going to Krispy Kreme, they're going, all experience-based things that are out there, big names, because they know that Disney and Universal at that point, I got to give it to Universal that they have nailed what the experience is supposed to be from beginning to end. And they're taking what they've learned and translating it into their own businesses, and then creating those touch points, those memories for the people. So that way, when it's time to think about another vacation, when it's time to think about when you're going to go refinance or something like that, you're the first memory that comes to mind because of the experience that you created for them. So,
yeah, 1,000 times. Like in when you work at Disney and you step out from behind the wall, you're on set, right? You're on stage. Like that was one of the first things they taught me. I remember that, right? So like, I feel the same way when I step out into public outside my house, or I step out of my hotel room when I'm at MortgageCon. I better be on, right? Like I got to bring it. If I'm in an elevator and someone goes, "Hey, you're the speaker that was on yesterday," I better show up as the speaker who's on yesterday, not the grumpy guy who had a bad phone call earlier with or whatever, right? Like you've got to bring it. And I'll tell you, I've known you guys for a few years now, and I see that in you. Now that we just open this up, I'm like, oh my God, this is our starting to click. But I see the Disney in your company. I see the leadership and the presentation and the way you guys are showing up. So congratulations on that, because that's not something that's easy to do. I want to know, is there a big powwow for the group that runs MortgageCon and you really embed that thought process into them, the culture of what this should be and what that embodies, John? Like when do you sit everybody down before we start mapping out the next year, all the support staff, and say, this is what it's got to be?
Somewhat. I mean, we kind of said it. We have a very specific mentality at the company, and at least the group of everyone running it. We're very much a lifestyle, and we're all on the same page of the experience we want people to have, whether they're working here or going to the event. So we have some like kind of like a debrief, and we'll talk about maybe some thoughts for next year. And then I always tell Joe, okay, shut it down and breathe. Give me at least 30 days of nothing, and then we'll open it back up. So we very much know what we're doing next year, and probably even past that, to be honest with you.
Nice. I love that. Well, I know, Joe, you shut it down and go hang out with those beautiful kids of yours for sure. I'm a fan on social media, so I see them and I see all the fun you guys are having there. What do you want people to walk away with when they leave MortgageCon? Besides, I mean, look, I think mortgage and real estate conferences are bad because they're all about mortgage and real estate. like so boring, right? Like one of the conferences that we all go to, I've seen you guys there before every July. The only other conference I really go to is a mortgage real estate conference, and they don't talk about anything about mortgages or real estate. Like literally there's nothing about it. Like you don't learn one lesson about how to close more deals there. But it's one of the top conferences in the country, right? So do you feel that you need to get farther away from the mortgage experience itself, or you want to kind of keep it a hybrid situation? Because I think you have both right now.
I definitely think hybrid is the way to go. As John and I are looking at speakers for this year and the year after, we're thinking outside the box on the type of messaging that we want to bring to people. Because like what John said, being a loan originator should be a lifestyle. It shouldn't be a career, right? If that makes any sense. It's so interwoven into everything that you do from beginning to end. Even me, I don't originate, the girls know that when I open the laptop at night, they're like, "Oh, Papa, are you talking to Miss Kelsey? Are you talking to this person type thing? They see it, right? It's interwoven in my life. So the conference, the experience should be more than just numbers and figures and stats and things like that. That's important. We want a point of that, right? But we want people to take away things that how to live your life so you can be the best human being that you can be, so you can be the best loan originator that you can be. And that's kind of, the hybrid is the way to go on that. Give them some knowledge, give them some skill, give them some life lessons. And then the cool part is that nobody gets to be on stage for really more than 30 minutes. Some of our keynotes get an hour, but ultimately there's quick, fast bits of information. People are going to take what they want to take. And, Kyle Draper said it best, if you don't like what's on stage, wait 30 minutes and somebody else will be on there. So hopefully the next person will be up there too. So that's my answer.
What about you, John?
I think that just for people to have fun. I want them to take away that they basically felt like they had a vacation where they grew from it. And when we talked about how this was born, it was really born after, what was it, 2022, where rates really jumped up from record lows to record highs, and there was almost like somebody took the floor out from under you, and we just felt it industry wide that there was a burnout. So we just wanted to create something that was valuable, that was fun as well.
Well, I think you've accomplished it for sure. And when you look at coming up for this year or for next year, do you wait until kind of later in the year to see what market trends and stuff are, what's going on in the world before you finalize certain keynote speakers? Because you want to make sure they're on trend or with what's happening. Like, there's so many great speakers out there. And if I look at it and say, okay, well, that message would be great in 3 months from now, but it may not be great a year from now.
We try our best. I'd say that we have some speakers that really are, they don't really get swayed with the market, that we could plug and play, and we get them early on. And then we probably fill the last third of the speaker list in the last 3 to 4 months before we put on the show.
Yeah.
I think even for one of the people, Joe, we were like 2 or 3 weeks before we were trying to see if we were going to get him on there. So if there's talented people that fit, especially as we get closer, I definitely want to give them the platform.
Okay. I love it. And, okay. So what do you say to the people? And I'm sure this is said, you guys run this mortgage event. Is this a recruiting event for Empire?
It is.
I mean,
not.
I don't think it is, but I'm saying your competition may say that it is. So I'm just I'm curious.
And we've kind of doubled down as far as to make sure that it's not a recruiting event for Empire. So obviously, organizational wise, we've actually established MortgageCon Incorporated, which is a 503c6. So basically, it's its own educational business league entity. And we are building a board of leaders and brokers from around the country to come and sit on this board to help advise on decisions for MortgageCon going into next year.
Really? That's amazing. Okay.
So, obviously John and I will be on there, and then maybe a few of our Empire people who have been key in making sure that MortgageCon happens every single year. But you're going to see new faces from around the country that will be announced soon, basically advocating for MortgageCon because they've believed in it since the beginning. And they also know that it hasn't been a recruiting event from the beginning either, right? So.
Okay.
Yeah, and the hope was to make it a charitable event right from the get-go. We wanted to make it where we could just have people kind of put down swords for a while and come and learn and have a kind of like take off their armor and raise money for a good cause. So if people ended up joining us, it was going to be because of a totally different reason than any event we were putting on. And we had a good turnout. I'd say only like 50, maybe 60% of the crowd was non-related to our company. And we get a lot of support from our company.
Yeah, of course.
But the purpose is to do something cool,
Yeah, and this year was great. My buddy Charlie Rocket, who's a buddy of mine, was there and present, and he's always just an inspiration, right? Somebody that really brings it, and I know that it turned out well for his deal there. So that was a great finish to the event. All right, so what do you got to tell us about what's anything you can release yet about what may be happening for 27?
Here's what I can tell you, because in my mind, we want to create some hype, right? So the theme of next year, which has already been announced, is going to be a murder mystery. So as what I talked about, that experience from beginning to end, I will, little known secret about John and I from childhood is that we were very big fans of like those Friday night TV shows like TGIF, like Family Matters, Full House, like all that good stuff.
Yeah.
You always had that one episode that was like the murder mystery episode, right? And it was just really, really cool. So I think that idea was kind of born out of that. It was born out of loving like movies like Knives Out and For Clue. And the cool part is that we had everybody at the end of last year vote on what the theme was going to be, right?
Yeah.
And so that one, we were very happy that it won. It won fairly too. At the same time, I know video games was a close number 2, but it will be a full-fledged murder mystery experience from the minute that you check in to the minute that you leave. It's still going to be at Universal, but we have a couple of really cool surprises up our sleeves in regards to where our networking events are going to be. All I can say is it's going to be epic. And wink, wink.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is it going to be epic or not?
It's going to be epic. Yep.
Okay. So the event itself will still be on a sound stage of some type at Universal, and Hard Rock Hotel still going to be the location.
We're actually, no, it's not. We're going to be moving into a larger space for the hotel, and then also larger trade show. Just big. Think big, Chris. Think really big.
I'm on. You guys know I'm a fan, so I think big. If you say big, Joe and John, I already know it's going to be big. Like you're gonna crush it. So I love that. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see what the future holds with that. You guys are just real people that you can have real conversations with. You know, as a keynote speaker that travels all over the country and speaks, that's not the case for 98% of the events I talk to people at. Like it's like I could tell you stories. Like it's just the craziest things we go through when we go to events. So you guys have always treated me well. And I know the same with all my friends that are speakers at your events. And that means a lot to us that, you know, we're on the road a lot speaking. And when we come somewhere, it's nice to feel like you're almost home. Now I did live in Orlando until recently, so I was home, but you know, in the past, it's nice to come in there and see a familiar face. I always get a hug from John and Joe whenever I see them, and Roberto. Like it's just like we're family. Like I just see the guys and we get a big hug and we go on. So that means a lot to me as someone who goes to events and participates and sees those things. And then also just that extra touch you give to people to make them feel welcome when it comes to, hey, we know you're probably going through some challenging stuff in the mortgage space right now. We all are, or we all have, or this guy has, or this person has, and we can introduce you to this person to help you through to navigate that. So, man, it's always a pleasure and honor to talk with you guys. Is there anything else you want to discuss about the event before we break off here?
Ultimately is that I do anticipate that we will probably have some more information by the end of May. I'm being very cryptic only because Universal's awesome, but their contracts are tight, man. So we just gotta make sure that everything is all nailed down. They are great. They are awesome partners to work with. But you know, obviously, like we found out doing things in the magical world of Harry Potter, there are certain things you can do and certain things you can't do until some things are signed. So you know, just anticipate, keep on checking out MortgageCon2027.com. You know, right now we just have the results of our murder mystery, but I anticipate within, you know, a couple of weeks to a month, we'll probably have some more information as far as what it's going to look like, and how we can go ahead and invite people to come and join us for the first, what I will say, first weekend in February, February 31st through February 3rd. I'm January 31st through
Okay.
February 3rd. Yeah. So,
Okay. Is it on social media right now? Is there a special Instagram handle for it or anything?
you can search MortgageCon on both Instagram and Facebook, and you can check it out. You know, our promo reel from last year is up there. So if you're wondering like what this thing actually looks like, take a look. It's pretty darn awesome. So
yeah, and also, can they buy tickets now? Can you already buy tickets?
not right now, unfortunately.
Okay.
Soon,
Okay.
soon.
Okay.
I'm beating people down at the doors right now, Chris. So it is gonna.
Hey, I love it. I love it. I think you should hold back and do those things. Like if you take anything from the way my guy Neil runs an event, the way he does that part, the tickets, and the way he keeps the doors locked until it's time to go in, like that. I'd never been to an event like that before, and now it's like, it's, you guys know, I'll probably see you guys there in July. So like, it's just an amazing thing there too. So I love the way they do that. So I'm a big R&D guy, rip off and duplicate. So I have no problem in taking somebody else's, what they've done and go, hey, it worked. I'm going to do it. Right. So, okay. Awesome. What about following you guys on social media? How should they do that if they want to follow either one of you guys?
They can get me on Instagram at moto_loans. That's probably the best place to get to me.
Yep.
Me, I am, my Facebook is the one I keep the most up with, honestly. So, but I'm Joe Moto on Facebook just because our last name has always been complicated from the very beginning. So
It is. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. So, you know, I'll leave it at that. But thanks again, guys. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for taking time out. And we'll make sure we get this out to everybody. And then we'll continue to help you promote through our database and everything else throughout the year as you guys start to release stuff. Okay.